Why Joe Rogan started questioning atheism. Interesting video. Let's see.
Science wants you to believe that it's all about measurement and reason if you allow them one miracle. That one miracle is the Big Bang.
Yes.
That all things come from the most preposterous idea ever.
Yeah.
That everything came from nothing in one big miracle.
That's right. I completely
totally
agree with that.
paraphrased it.
I
He
love
probably
that.
said it far more eloquently.
Well,
but
this was for Fred Hoyle's objection to the Big Bang. He said he was a Democritean. He didn't believe. He said nothing comes from nothing, and I simply refuse to believe that the physical universe came from nothing physical. And moreover, he said it smacks of the Genesis account, which he detested, and so he rejected the Big Bang and formulated this steady state model.
By the way, really quick, that steady state model that he's talking about is the idea of a past eternal universe, which modern science has basically now totally debunked. Just context.
That was later, I think, decisively refuted by the discovery of the cosmic background radiation. It happens. I've had funny coincidental meetings with Hoyle, Herman Bondi, and Thomas Gold, all three of the architects of the steady state model. I met Bondi and Hoyle when I was a PhD student in Cambridge. And Hoyle held on to his dying day for the steady state. But Bondi, actually, we had a conversation about it, and he said that well, it turned out that it was a brilliant idea. It was a beautiful idea. Just that turned out that everything about it was wrong, and he rejected it. So, but later, Hoyle had his own conversion to a kind of quasi-theistic worldview because of his discovery of the fine-tuning parameters. But the point is that the materialists did not expect to have this evidence from the beginning. Hoyle thought that the laws of physics were the first law of conservation of matter and energy. Matter and energy are neither created nor destroyed except at the Big Bang. And he didn't like that, but eventually I think the physics community came around. There were so many indicators of that beginning event.
Now, again, as we're discussing detection methods and our ability to understand things is so radically different from 1920, 100 years ago. What is it going to be like 100 years from now? Is this, they're going to be, are we making assumptions based on very limited data? It's a lot of data question for us, but it seems fairly limited given the scope of not just this universe, but then the concept of multiverses. Like, what are your thoughts of this concept of multiple universes?
I love to talk about the multiverse.
Or infinite universes.
Yeah, I'm glad you raised it. And this also connects to the Fred Hoyle story, which is fascinating. Again, with the proviso, science is necessarily provisional, and we always have to be open to new data.
Right.
But the trend lines, I think, are the things that are really interesting. So there's this Hoyle's. Let's start with Hoyle, and then we'll get to multiverse. Okay. So Hoyle is great astrophysicist. He's thinking about carbon, and he realizes that carbon has this unique property of being able to make long chain-like molecules, and long chain-like molecules, and therefore, are capable of storing information. And we need information to build specified structures, in particular living systems. So he's trying to explain the abundance of carbon in the universe. And he thinks of 4 or 5 different ways that won't work. And finally, he comes up with a way that would work. And long story short, it turns out for that way of building carbon chemically to work, it has to do with combining simpler, what are called nucleons, smaller atoms to get the carbon molecule. There has to be a special resonance level for the carbon molecule, special way it sings. It has a certain energy level that causes it to sing at a certain frequency. Turns out the frequency he predicts, which would be necessary to explain the origin of carbon in the universe, exists within a particular form of carbon. And they determine this at Caltech. But then that turns out to be the tip of a deeper iceberg of a whole series of other things in the universe that would have to be just right to make this formation of carbon possible. The gravitational force would have to when inside stars. The gravity couldn't be too strong, too weak. Its electromagnetic force couldn't be too strong or too weak. The ratio between them couldn't be too strong or too weak. Everything fell in this sweet spot, this kind of Goldilocks zone, where and we now call this the phenomenon of fine tuning. That there are multiple parameters in the universe that fall within these very narrow tolerances, outside of which not only life would be impossible, but stable galaxies and even basic chemistry would be impossible. And so that is to say, even to get the evolutionary process going, you would have to have all these beautifully finely tuned parameters in place. And so Hoyle starts having a rethink about this, and he's a staunch atheist, scientific atheist materialist, but he ends up concluding that fine tuning points to some kind of a fine tuner. And he's quoted as saying that the best data we have suggests that a super intellect has monkeyed with physics and chemistry in order to make life possible.
Wow. Wow. Look, here's how I look at it. Okay, here's how I look at it. Guys, how can you not believe in a higher power? Let's just start there. What do you mean you're atheist? See, the reason these guys are saying they're atheists is we've there's a funny word for it. The same way how you can dehumanize someone, we've despiritualized everything. We've despiritualized it. You see, it will take one of your siblings to be demonically possessed and you hear a man's voice coming out of them. You'll find out, there seems to be something here that is not natural that is occurring. It will take someone you know who's been gravely ill, could not walk, has something deadly that they're about to die, and they get miraculously healed for you. Say, oh, maybe there's something there that I don't understand, or I can't really explain. I cannot explain this thing right here. And atheism is dying. Oh my goodness, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, atheism was the thing of the day. Everybody was atheist. Now people are becoming a lot more spiritual, dare I say. But the atheism, it's a dying idea. That philosophy just does not work. It doesn't stand the test of time. That's why it's a new concept. It's a new concept. 2,000 years ago, who was atheist? No way. You you want to be atheist when all these guys are with their gods and they're showing you their gods. They're able to manifest their gods, and you want to be atheist. You stay atheist, my friend. The atheism thing, it's only able to exist at this time because the church hasn't done its job well into showing the people their God. The rise in atheism really is because the church has failed its job. At its right place, there's no way a person can be atheist. Be another religion. Atheism, it's not possible. How? If in every situation I can, by the way, in every underlying situation we can see the spiritual. It's just that it's like shielded away, hidden away from people, man. It's insane. But my goodness, Joe Rogan is coming. I really, really, I pray, Lord, that he comes to the Lord. Joe Rogan, oh my goodness. When he comes, and you can just sense that he is, back then, 10 years ago, he was a staunch atheist, or at least agnostically very strong at maximum. And now he's more and more going towards the path of seeking Jesus. Very, very interesting. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. And our goal is 1,000 subscribers, you know. It's been a pleasure. God bless you.